Hi, this is scottkoz20 from sportscardforum.com, the ultimate in sports card trading and discussion. Um, this is something I'm going to try to do a little bit more often going forward. This is actually as a response to a thread. The thread is in the hot card forums with the title, "I'm Already Getting Fed Up." Now, the reason why I'm doing the video response to this is because there are some things I want to actually, as opposed to doing screenshots or anything along those lines, I want to take the time to do a little bit of a live demo of of what's coming down the line with SCF, which is already there. Some of these pieces aren't defaulted at this point, but also kind of answer some of the questions that have come up and some of the topics that have come up through the thread itself. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to flip from the video. I'm going to go into right into SCF at this point, and I'm going to go right to the thread itself. Now, the thread was started by user xspirit. First and foremost, thank you for posting this, because getting good discussion threads is something that is really something that anybody can do, anybody can put together, depending on what you want to be able to do and how you want to be able to vent or put any type of topic together. Now, again, I'm not going to go through every single point that's being made here, but there are some things I do want to talk about in here that's going to be important to bring up. I'm going to go to a couple responses early on. About people, Mark, Canadian kid, stop dealing in book value, stop doing things in book value. His last point was keep your chin up. Remember, it's a hobby. Stephen, Canucks fan, gets into, again, book value being referred to as a quote-unquote good book. Again, if you choose to use Beckett, that's your call. There are other people who don't use Beckett, who don't give it any credence at all. So it is something that is, so you do have a little bit of a dichotomy from that standpoint between what some people are going to do and what other people are not going to be able to do. For me, it's not I'm not here to tell you which way you should go with it. That's going to be up to you and how you want to be able to trade. But one other point that gets brought up here, and I'm going to go down a little bit, because I think it's on this first page. If it's at the bottom of the first page, if you're looking at 10 threads. I used to have a much more expensive card list, and then Piper 1 mentions he has to be a little bit more selective, being he's now semi-retired. Again, cost has a lot to do with what you want to be able to do. Again, the hobby itself is, let's be honest, it's not a cheap hobby to be in. It is something to be mindful of. When I go over to the second page here, I ended up asking the question, and I'm going to bring it up on screen so you can see it. What would help with trading overall? So I left it there. I kind of left it open-ended in the sense of I wanted to see what some of the responses were going to be before I produced this video. Piper 1 mentions something about, and again, I've got it up on screen here. If you look at who has 10 trades easily in a month, one thing that they have in common is a fairly detailed list of what's available and what they're looking for. If I scroll down to the original poster, xspirit, he replies to me. He has replied to every person in this thread up to this point. And again, that's something that, again, when you are getting feedback, I think it's great when somebody can quote or provide feedback or just keep the conversation going. Really nice job on that. Anyway, one of the things that xspirit puts in here is, and gets into the inventory manager. And again, we do have that on Sports Card Forum, and this is the reason why I'm doing this video. There are some things that, again, potentially could be improved on as time goes on, but there are some things that we have improved on the inventory manager within the last 6 weeks that some of you may know about, some of you may not know about. So let me first and foremost do one thing here right off the bat. First thing, if you're still looking at Sports Card Forum with what I'm going to call the orange header, at the very bottom of the screen, you're going to see the SCF sponsors, and you're going to see a pull down towards the bottom next to the language selector. In that pull down, you're going to see, again, being I'm in my admin account, I see every style that's available. Most of you are going to see two styles. SCF, which is the default style, and then there's an SCF responsive form. The reason why I'm calling out this SCF responsive form is because this look and this feel within SCF is actually going to be responsive to mobile devices. So you don't have, so unlike the orange header that you have, where you have, if you're trying to look at items within the confines of an iPhone or an Android device, it's painful to look at. This actually is going to be a lot better to look at. I'm actually going to change, inside of Chrome, there is an emulator mode. And in my emulator mode here, I'm actually going to go into, I don't know if you can see this at the top, but it's iPhone 6, 7, 8 Plus. Now it does show some of the header information off on the right-hand side. But again, that's something to take, we'll talk about that piece a little bit later on. Now, first, and the reason why I bring this piece up here is because SCF in its entirety right now does have every piece as a mobile responsiveness to it. So the reason why I'm bringing this up here is if I go into the menu, and if I go into my inventory manager, now on the inventory manager itself, it is going to take you into your own inventory manager, and you're going to be able to see, if you scroll past the initial search, you're going to see an area for my inventory, you're going to see cards, your want lists, you're going to see public inventories, members public inventories. And these are going to be pieces that you have, and again, it's touching on a couple of different things here. Now, for example, if you want to utilize to put together your own trade list, or putting together what you have, what you want, what you don't want, you have the ability of utilizing that within the inventory manager itself. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do a quick search on Jack Eichel. Why Jack Eichel? I'm a Sabre fan. All right, so I'm going to look for just Jack Eichel, and I'm just going to do hockey, Jack Eichel. I'm just going to do a search. Now, on the search itself, as you scroll down, it's going to show you the number of cards that we do have within the inventory at this point. Now, again, being that I am within the confines of, again, I'm emulating a little bit here, so there is going to be some pieces that don't look exactly right as you would see within an iPhone itself, but for the most part, everything is there for you to be able to utilize. So let's say I have this card. Let's say I have this Artifacts 2006 Jack Eichel. Well, one of the things I have the ability to do is I have the ability to click on the pencil, and I can identify this particular card. So if I have one of them, if I have one of these particular cards, fantastic. If I want to add this to my personal collection, I can say that's a part of my personal collection. Now, if I say it's not a part of my personal collection, this would actually become a trader. If I wanted this in my want list, I could put in the checkbox for the want list and be able to work with it from that standpoint. Now, if I do have an image of the card itself, you can upload the images. We do look for images for our master database. That's a different discussion all onto itself. Once you have all this identified, let's say I want to put this in my want list. Let's say I want this card. I'm going to submit this. Cool. All right. All right, so there's some of the emulation pieces that's now changed over a little bit. Again, everything in here within you have the ability of working with and taking from that standpoint. So here's the card. Do I have it in my want? Do I want it? Yes, it's in my want list. It's indicating as being yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down a bit, and now I have the ability of identifying within my inventory. I have the ability of looking at my want list. What do I want? Now there's a number of different cards I have in my want list that are here. I've been playing around with it a little bit. So you're going to see a number of, I got like 23,000 cards. Now I could empty my want list and start over if I want to go this way with it. I can go into a text list format, which would then take me into this format, and I can then just simply copy and paste and be able to work with items from that, work with things from that standpoint. If you want to, and then also from here, you can look at find all want lists available in inventories. Now, from here, I can go in and I can identify who wants what. So, for example, user Too Tall is looking for Tom Brady. All right, so that's something he did. P. Waldo, Pete's looking for some like Trout. There's a number of different ways you can actually see items and be able to work with content from that standpoint. Now, one other piece I do want to call out here, and again, I'm going to go out of the iPhone filter. I'm going to go back into regular Chrome. So let me just give this page a refresh here. Let me give this one more time. There we go. Now, on the My Inventory list, there is, like I mentioned, you do have an option for Members Public Inventory. Now, in here as well, you do have the ability of identifying different, search all members' inventories. So when you do click on search in here, I might need to put in here, let me select the team. Let me select Buffalo Sabres. All right. So in this point now, I'm seeing everything that every member does have, and be able to work with items from that standpoint. So if, let's say, for example, I want to reach out to this user here about this OPG Jailbar Pro, I do have the ability of reaching out to that particular person, seeing their list, and be able to work with items from that perspective. When I'm in that person's cards, for example, I have the ability of seeing their member information, what their feedback is, and if I want to click on their name, that would actually take me to their page on Sports Card Forum. And then I have the ability of sending them a private message from here. So there's a lot of different tools that you do have the ability to utilize. You have the ability of leveraging and referencing. Again, depending on what you want to be able to do and how you want to be able to set things up from that perspective. There's a lot of tools that are here, but part of what I want to drive home here with this video post is that the fact that you do have the ability of utilizing those particular pieces, identifying what you want to be able to do and how you want items to really look within your own, not only your own views, within your for your own collections, depending on what you want. Again, all depends on what you want to be able to do. Now, again, this is going to be something that, again, may not answer everybody's questions that's here. It may open up additional questions. But the point of me doing this video reply has to do more with the fact that there are tools available for you to utilize, and that's the piece that I wanted to drive home. If you have questions, if you want to reach out to me, by all means, shoot me a message, tag me on this thread, because I'm going to post this video onto this thread here in a little bit. First and foremost, thank you for watching this. I hope to do more of these in the future. Have yourself a great day.